Imagine one of the world's most advanced, most expensive stealth fighter jets, a Royal Navy F-35B Lightning. Now, picture it grounded,
Right.
not on some remote military base, but stuck at a busy civilian international airport.
Right. Exposed to monsoon rains, public curiosity. It sounds almost like a movie plot.
It really does. Today, we're doing a deep dive into this exact situation, the unexpected saga of that F-35B, which, as of late June 2025, is still stuck in Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala, India.
And our mission here isn't just about, a mechanical failure.
Exactly. We want to untangle the whole web, the logistics, the diplomacy, the strategic alliances that this one grounded jet has suddenly thrown into the spotlight.
Yeah, and we've got a fair bit to draw on. Reports from places like Wikipedia, The Independent, Mathrubhumi, The Times of India, Economic Times, Hindustan Times, NDTV.
Plus official statements for the British Ministry of Defense and their High Commission in India. So quite a stack.
Definitely.
And look, this isn't just a story about a broken plane, right? It's this fascinating real-world glimpse into how fragile even super advanced tech can be.
And how geopolitics gets tested in really unexpected ways.
Yeah, and how global partnerships work, or maybe where the weak points are when something like a stealth fighter gets stranded on foreign soil.
So get ready for some surprising details that go way beyond the initial headlines.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It's the night of June 14th, 2025. You've got this Royal Navy F-35B flying sorties from the aircraft carrier HMS Prince of Wales out in the Arabian Sea. Pretty routine stuff, presumably.
Supposedly routine, yeah.
Okay.
But then things went wrong. The jet ran into some really severe weather. And critically low on fuel, it had to send out a distress call as it got near the Indian coast.
Okay, so an emergency. What happens then?
Well, the designated emergency recovery field was Thiruvananthapuram International Airport, so it diverted there. The Indian Air Force jumped in straight away, full support, guided it in safely.
And Air Wing Commander Colin Naganity confirmed the safe landing.
That's right. He confirmed it was a successful recovery. So the immediate danger was over.
Huge sigh of relief, I bet, getting that piece of kit down safely. But then the weirdness started once it was just sitting there on the tarmac.
Exactly. That immediate relief sort of faded, and you had this really strange picture. Heavy monsoon rains coming down.
Right.
And this incredibly expensive stealth jet just sitting there out in the open. It was parked in Bay 4, which is usually for VIP planes.
Wow.
And it became this weird cultural moment in India. Almost instantly, you had the Central Industrial Security Force, the CISF, guarding it 207, obviously.
Of course, high security.
But online, it was a total field day, people joking, making memes, our new tourist attraction, stealth mode, permanent, that kind of thing.
That's wild. A top secret military jet becomes an accidental meme.
Yeah.
But I guess being stuck on the ground can be just as big a problem for an aircraft like this. What was the actual technical issue that popped up?
Yeah, that's the kicker. Once it was safely down and stationary, it developed a hydraulic system failure.
Hydraulics.
Yeah.
Crucial for any plane, but especially an F-35B.
Absolutely critical. We're not just talking basic flight controls. On the F-35B, hydraulics run the short takeoff and vertical landing systems, the weapon bay doors, even moving the surfaces needed for its stealthiness.
So a failure there, it basically cripples the aircraft.
Completely cripples it. And fixing it isn't simple. You often need very specific proprietary tools and parts, not something you can just whip up on the spot.
Right. So initial repair attempts didn't go well.
No. The carrier's own maintenance team flew in by helicopter, but they couldn't sort it out. Even repeat visits by engineers from HMS Prince of Wales? No luck.
So it's a deeper problem.
It became clear pretty quickly, around June 18th or so, that they needed specialists. A UK technical team arrived for more detailed diagnostics, but hydraulic systems, especially on something this complex, they can be notoriously tricky.
So they realized they needed more spares, probably special support flown in from the UK, maybe even the US.
That seemed to be the situation, yeah. Leaving one of the world's most advanced fighters effectively immobilized. It's fascinating, really, how one mechanical failure can ground such a sophisticated machine.
It really underscores the fragility, doesn't it? And as the days turned into weeks with this jet just sitting there, the logistics must have become a nightmare. Like, who pays for parking a stealth fighter at a civilian airport?
Yeah, the great parking paradox. Airport authorities did start talking about fees, naturally.
How do you even calculate that?
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't fit the usual billing models based on aircraft weight and how long it's scheduled to be there. It's not a commercial flight.
So it becomes a diplomatic issue.
Pretty much. Most reports suggested the Indian government would likely cover the costs, recognizing the diplomatic sensitivities and the strategic relationship with the UK.
Makes sense. Okay, so cost is one thing, but security. That must have been paramount, keeping eyes off classified technology. I heard there was some discussion about moving it into a hangar.
There was. And it highlighted this real tension. The need to protect the aircraft versus the need to protect its secrets. Initially, the Royal Navy team actually turned down offers to move the jet into an Air India hangar.
Really? Why?
The concern was about exposing sensitive onboard systems. Even in a friendly country's facility, the protocols around this tech are incredibly strict. It showed their priority was safeguarding the classified features, even if it meant leaving it exposed to the elements for longer and maybe delaying repairs.
Wow. Protecting the secrets over protecting the plane itself, initially at least. But they couldn't just leave it out in the monsoon forever, right?
No. Eventually, Indian authorities offered space in an MRO hangar that's a specialized maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility. Much better protection from the weather, plus it helped clear up space on the main apron.
And the UK accepted that offer.
Yes, by around June 27th, they accepted, and the F-35B was towed into that secure shed.
Okay, so safer, drier, but still broken.
Still broken. And as of June 28th, the specialized UK repair crew with the necessary parts still hadn't arrived.
And meanwhile, the mothership, HMS Prince of Wales,
sailed on. It had scheduled exercises in Singapore with its other 11 F-35Bs, so this one jet was a very conspicuous absence.
This whole thing, starting as a technical problem, really spiraled into a significant diplomatic test, didn't it?
Yeah.
Especially given the India-UK-US defense relationships.
It absolutely did. India doesn't fly F-35s itself, but its defense ties with both the UK and the US have gotten much closer recently.
Weren't there talks earlier in 2025 between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump about India potentially buying F-35s?
There were reports to that effect, yes. So having this jet land in India under these circumstances, it really reinforced this public image of India being part of that close-knit Western military cooperation network.
And India's handling of it seems to have been key.
Very key. Security analysts pointed this out. India quickly cleared airspace, the IAF helped guide it in, the CISF provided round-the-clock security, they offered hangar space. All of that demonstrated a high level of mutual trust between Delhi and London.
And the British reaction. Any nervousness about espionage, despite the close ties?
The British Ministry of Defense publicly denied any such fears. They were very clear in stating their confidence in India as a trusted ally.
Though some analysts did raise a point about delay, didn't they? That letting it sit there too long could potentially create friction.
A few analysts mentioned that, suggesting prolonged grounding could sow doubt. But the general consensus among experts seems to be that a major diplomatic issue is unlikely. There are established protocols for these things.
Right. Discipline and procedures usually win out.
Exactly. And in fact, how India handled this whole situation probably strengthens its credentials as a reliable security partner in the Indo-Pacific. The British High Commission's spokesperson specifically thanked Indian authorities for their continued support and highlighted the close coordination between the armed forces.
So it became an unexpected real-time stress test for the alliance, and it seems to be holding up well.
So far, yes, it looks that way.
Okay, so we've covered the technical side, the logistics, the diplomacy. What about the public reaction on the ground and the deeper implications for the F-35 program itself?
Well, public curiosity in Kerala was huge, as you'd expect. Reporters, aviation buffs trying to get photos from a distance.
And social media buzzing, you mentioned.
Oh, yeah. Lots of chatter, some lighthearted, some more serious speculation about, what the intense humidity and monsoon rains might be doing to the jet's sensitive electronics, its avionics.
Were the British worried about anyone getting too close? Physically, I mean.
They seemed confident in the Indian security cordon, but the Made also mentioned constant satellite supervision would flag any unauthorized access attempts anyway. They were watching.
And technically, beyond just the hydraulics, what does this incident tell us about supporting these fifth-gen fighters globally?
It really shines a light on the supply chain. The fact that repairing this relies so heavily on specific OEM-level replacement parts and specialized tools.
Yeah.
It raises big questions.
Questions
about supply chain readiness, about how modular these systems really are for field repair, and about having the right logistical support positioned forward, close to where these planes might operate.
So even with the most advanced tech, you're still vulnerable. If a key part fails, And the fix isn't readily available nearby.
Precisely. It shows a potential vulnerability dependence on a very complex, tightly controlled global support network. A single point of failure can ground a multi-billion-dollar capability.
So looking ahead, what are the actual options for getting this F-35 back in the air, or at least back home?
Well, best case. The UK and maybe US specialists arrive soon with the right parts, they fix it, and it flies back to the carrier. But that won't happen until HMS Prince of Wales finishes its deployment in Singapore and potentially returns to the area.
And if they can't fix it there?
Then you're looking at more complex options, maybe partial disassembly and shipping it home either by sea or maybe loaded onto a large military transport aircraft like a C-17 Globemaster.
And the worst case?
Worst case, it could remain stuck in that hangar in India for weeks, maybe even months longer, if there are further technical snags or logistical bottlenecks getting the parts and people there. As of the latest reports, end of June 2025, it's still there, waiting.
It's really quite something. This whole incident sits right at the intersection of high-tech defense, international diplomacy, and gritty logistics, doesn't it?
Absolutely. A grounded F-35 isn't just a maintenance headache. It's this very visible symbol of international defense cooperation being put to the test.
And how everyone involved, India, the UK, the US, indirectly handles this will definitely send signals about future joint operations and whether that strategic trust really translates into smooth operational support when things go sideways.
Yeah, it's a live test case.
So this deep dive into the F-35B grounded in Kerala, it really reminds you, doesn't it? Even the most sophisticated machines built for stealth and power are still subject to chance, to circumstance.
A mechanical glitch, a sudden storm, ending up on an unexpected runway. All it took was that combination to strand one of the world's top fighter jets far from home.
And in doing so, it revealed so much more than just a technical problem.
Exactly. It gave us this unexpected window into modern defense partnerships, into the level of trust required, but also the inherent fragility of advanced military tech and the incredibly complex dance involved in solving problems across borders and oceans.
So as that F-35 sits there quietly in its hangar in India, waiting for parts, waiting for resolution, maybe the question for us and for you listening is, what does its enforced stillness really tell us about the hidden dependencies, the invisible threads of trust that will hold global military power together in the 21st century? What stands out most to you about this whole story?